This is the GJRB Online Network. You heard the Gary Russen program all week. Now catch what you missed from live broadcast and from the podcast. Plus, memories of past shows. This is the Weekend Roundup. This is the best of the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. Hello everyone, hello everywhere across America and around the world from the GJRB Spreaker Studios, just above the Lions Shopping District on Clinton's North End. And hello everyone and welcome to another New Year. So a happy New Year, by the way, from our GJRB Spreaker Studios, Clinton's North End, just above the Lions Shopping District in Clinton, Iowa, for our year-end review show here on GJRB Online. And that is our GJRB Online, the Gary Russen program, year-end review 2019. And this is the year-end review show. Take a look at the year, this past year of our show. And you have to believe it or not, I can't believe this is 2020. You know, my wife and I were just talking about that. You know, it's kind of weird. 2020, try to say that twice 50 times. Anyway, it's kind of interesting how we got this far. I mean, 2020. Imagine that. Wow. Well, you know, we're getting close here to GJRB Online. It's getting close here to our 20th. Well, let's see. When did we start GJRB? We started in 2012, right? Well, yeah. It'll be 10 years come 2022. For GJRB. So, I mean, we've been really going a long time here. And it's been fabulous. So we're right on the 8-year mark of GJRB Online. 8 years on the air here on Spreaker. And it's been absolutely fabulous 8 years. We met a lot of great people through the years. And 2019 was an interesting year in itself. A lot of interesting things going on. You know, the fact that these impeachment hearings has been a real interesting part of our year. There's been a lot of mass shootings, 2019. Earthquakes. We had a major earthquake in Los Angeles in the 4th of July. We'll be playing a segment on that one. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, take a look at 2019. I mean, this has been quite a year. 4th of July weekend, 2019. And about 6 months ago, Los Angeles, California, had a major earthquake. The epicenter, remember, was in Ridgecrest, California. And we're going to have a segment about that earthquake. And a lot of other things, so I hope you'll stay with us. It's going to be a fabulous year of interesting stuff. You know, the 4th of July was really interesting about the 4th of July. And tell me if you agree with me on this. For 2 years in a row, there was some big event happening on the 4th of July. Like the year before that, remember we did that year in review? Talk about that woman who had a big standoff on the Statue of Liberty. So this year was an earthquake. So it's kind of a fascinating year in itself that we covered. And we're going to cover this year with some really interesting clips and some interesting guests on. We've had Ben Usman on a couple of times this year. We had a clip we have with him, which I thought was kind of interesting. We have long, I mean, those conversations I had with Ben are lengthy. And we're going to play a clip of it, but not the whole thing. The one I then later on in the show, which will probably not be on this one, but will be on our Friday wrap-up, as the Friday wrap-up show. That's going to be, that'll be Friday, our year-end review wrap-up. And I have a clip with Ed Delgado, the Caramel Conservative, was on with us that show. That was another show where Ben Osman didn't make it on the show, and we had to replace the guest. And we're going to play that one for you. So check that out. That's coming up. Ben Osman was on our show that day. So we're going to have a piece on that one. And so it's going to be an interesting show. Hope you'll tune in. Hope you'll stay with us all day. For at least the next 3 hours as we go back through the 2019 of the Gary Russen program. Got some interesting stories and some stuff here. We're going to remember, and we have a little tribute again this year. I think it was it a year since we lost, or a couple years since we lost Art Bell? Got a piece on that. Talking about how, we remember fondly Art Bell. Also, on that clip, I talked about how I had decided to cancel the Best of the Gary Russen program, mainly because I had it takes forever to put the material together for the program and put together the clips. But I thought about it, and I said, why am I doing that? Kind of too hasty. So I've decided what I'm going to do there is I'm going to bring back that show, the Best of the Gary Russen program, coming back in 2020. We're still going to do a kind of a clip format, like I'm doing right now. But aside from a clip format, I'm going to randomly pick Gary Russen programs from last year and replay them in their entirety, except for the weather, of course. We'll clip that out. And I'll do live weather here under our 3-hour plan. I'll do live weather. But other than that, it's going to be where I will have a rebroadcast of a previous Gary Russen program. We'll play some old shows, and I will replay in their entireties. So we'll go back to last year and maybe play. I'll randomly pick episodes from clips that didn't get to air on this show. In other words, these are shows that I didn't have time for on this particular show. If we run out of time, we're only going to do 2 shows worth of these clips, okay, for the year-end review. Only 2 shows worth. This one and Friday. Friday's going to be the wrap-up show, and I'll cover episodes for October and November, including that November episode where we were on Podbean and Spreaker at the same time, and that guy called us up and was being rude. So we'll play that one again. And bring back some really good stuff from talk about how we got on Podbean and started another platform and various things. So we did that this year. We started a new platform called what's called Podbean, and it's another platform. And I haven't got a hold of. I bet you he had a show last night, too. I think he did. BJ McNamara. I'm pretty sure he had a show yesterday. He was probably doing his year-end stuff and putting an idea for what's going to be coming up on his station. But we'll talk about how I got started on Podbean, and I want to talk to him about the fact that now it seems like Podbean is giving you 3 hours free. And we'll talk about that coming up a little later on. So it's going to be a really good show today, so I hope you'll stay with me. By the way, the show is not being heard on FM. We're not carrying this on the FM signal today. I've decided to kind of give the FM signal a break. And as I told you this year, and I'm going to say it before I get started on our first clip, I am going to be doing something different with FM this year in 2020, and I'll talk about that later on. Okay, and the GJRB is going to be its own separate station, and some of the plans coming up a little later on. But meanwhile, it's time to start off our first segment, and we're going to talk about this first segment, and talks about how President Trump is obese, apparently, according to a story. This one, our first segment of the show, This is from February 15th. President Trump obese. Oh, here's another interesting one. We're talking about Donald Trump. I came across this story. They're saying now last week, Donald Trump went through, what was it? I think he had a physical, annual workover, a physical. Yeah, he had a physical. And they're saying that they're considering that President Donald Trump is obese. Yeah, they're declaring that he is obese. It means that he is overweight. This is a story that I don't know how true it is, but they say that I haven't heard anything else on this. But claiming that President Trump is overweight. Okay. Let's see. I got that story here. Yeah. Illinois. Let's see if it's in here. I'm gonna find it. Here it is. It's on the. It's from. It's a story actually. It comes from Channel 5. Let's see. It'll come up here. I think it's from Channel 5 in Chicago. WMAQ. Channel 5 out of Chicago. As soon as it comes up here. Here it is. Yeah. From NBC Chicago, Channel 5. Trump now is to be considered obese. The White House said on Thursday has resolved most of the physical of his physical body mass index for him now is 30.4. That's based on fact that he's been carrying 243 pounds of his 6'3" frame, and that is 236 pounds. That is up 236 pounds from 2016 before he came in. The index rating is of 30, a level which is considered somewhat obese under a commonly used formula. 40% of Americans are obese, and that raises the risk of heart attack, diabetes, stroke, and some forms of cancer. They're saying that President Trump is obese. Trump doesn't drink, he doesn't do alcohol. Somehow I don't know if I really believe that one. He's a big fan of the gym, although he's not a big fan of the gym, rather. But he feels his primary form of exercise is golfing, where he walks plenty around the White House complex. Trump loves fast food. That was indicated when he had that party for the Clemson Tigers back at the White House during a partial government shutdown, when the White House kitchen was too understaffed to cater to a meal. So he brought in large burgers, French fries, and pizza to these guys. Despite gaining 4 pounds for the last year, Dr. Sean Conley, a president's physician, said that the 72-year-old president remains in very good health. His heart rate 70 beats per minute, and his blood pressure reading was 118/80, well within normal range. Yet he's obese. Go figure that one out. Okay. What do you think of that one? They say that President Trump is obese. They say that his body mass is 30.6 or 30, and they consider that obese. Wow. Imagine that. So he is overweight. Just wow. Well, we're going to get in. I want to talk about that one. But they're saying now that he gained 4 pounds over the last year, according to his to Dr. Sean Conley. So But Conley, in a routine lab test that performed Trump's liver, kidney, and thyroid functions are well normal, and his electrolytes and blood counts and his electrocardiogram test measures the electrical activity generated from his heart, and its beats remain unchanged over the last year. Dr. Muriel Jessup is a Heart Association Chief Science and Medical Officer, states, quote, despite the fact that he is obese, his blood pressure is normal. Using the Associated Heart Attack calculator, he has 17% chance of developing cardiovascular disease in the next 10 years, mostly because of his age and slightly elevated cholesterol. So, again, I guess he has to be just a little bit more careful. Being tip-top shape for his age, we're talking still in danger of a heart attack. Think about that. Wow. Yeah, and that was from our February 15th show. President Trump being obese, according to the mass level there. And whether or not I believe that or not, well, he looks big, but I somehow have a problem with them saying that. Of course, again, that's it could be a liberal thing. Find all kinds of things wrong with this man. Anyway. Okay, well, let's see. Well, we go to the next clip. It's another interesting one. It was about that time was my birthday. It's about 2 days after my birthday. And at that time, I had a seizure on my birthday. This is from February 15th, 2019, and around my birthday time. And I was talking about that and thanking people for cards and letters. So here it is from February 15th, right after my birthday. I want to thank my wife and, by the way, before I get into anything else, I do want to thank my wife, family, friends, everybody for the fabulous birthday greetings I got this week here on Facebook. My birthday, and I appreciate that an awful lot. It was a great, quiet birthday. I had some good times, and just relaxing with my wife. It's always good to be with a lovely lady, and just having a good time. But and I enjoyed the evening there, and not quite an uneventful evening. Because, and I'll say this because my sisters don't listen to this radio show. They had better things to do. But Wednesday night, I had taken a short nap, and I woke up, and I had another one of those seizures. It was, I don't know, I think it was more or less a muscle spasm. I don't know. It just startled me because it brought back some bad memories of July last year. And it was, I just woke up. It was kind of like a Charlie horse with a pulsating disco beat. I thought, no, this is probably one of those stupid, I was getting it again. And I had, and at 8:30, usually 8:30. Now, I don't really take it right on time. I guess I should, but I don't. Sometimes I forget, take it, whatever the case. But I did take it, but shortly afterward, around there, I had that little incident of seizure, even though I did take my Keppra. So I'm kind of just trying to stick with the 8:30 a.m., 8:30 p.m., taking that pill, because I thought, well, here's another 6-month setback where I won't be able to drive again. Although I don't have a car anymore anyway. But the thing about it is, it's frustrating for me because I like my freedom, and I felt like it was taken away from me. And it kind of bums me out sometimes that I can't drive anymore. And this is just another setback. Even though I don't have a car anymore, I don't have money to get one, I just kind of miss being able to drive, you know. But anyway, you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America, and thank you for tuning in. And we're going to get into this now. This is hilarious. This video I'm going to play for you is hysterically hilarious, because this is just to prove exactly, just exactly how Ocasio get into this now. This is hilarious. This video I'm going to play for you is hysterically hilarious, because this is just to prove exactly, just exactly how Ocasio-Cortez is dumber than a box of rocks. There's just no doubt about it. It's just this is an example of stupidity. I'm sorry about this, but the audio on this isn't all that good from the day I aired this, so the audio might not be up high enough, but you'll catch the idea. Oops! Anyway, the audio on that particular one is not very good. I don't know why. For some reason, it just didn't come out as well as I wanted to. But apparently, there was a situation with a debacle over paychecks. And something happened that they were in the wrong office or something like that. This is an example of... Let me see here if we can find that.
They couldn't find it because those lawmakers went to the wrong office.
Oops! In that pill. Let me see. I just kind of had Ocasio-Cortez.
They couldn't find it because those lawmakers. They couldn't find it because those lawmakers went to the wrong office.
Oops. Which I thought was kind of funny. The lawmakers went to the wrong office there. The audio, like I said before, I don't know, for some reason that day was not picking up very good off the computer. And you couldn't hear it very good. Either the levels were not up or something was going on there. Sometimes when I play stuff off the computer on the air, the audio level isn't the best. So on some of these clips, I'm working on that because I think it has to do with the fact that pulling it off the computer, and the computer sound might not be up loud enough or some sort of another, but I'm working on that for this year. I'm making sure that it can be heard louder, because I'll play some of it off either my phone or the tablet through the board, and especially when we get to doing our shows over on Podbean, it'll sound better. So that's how that's going to go. But I hope you're enjoying it. This is the Best of the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review 2019, and we're doing it on January 1st, 2020. Wow. That's where we are. The first day of the year, 2020, January 1st. I'm Gary J. Russen. Hope you're enjoying the program so far. We're talking about the Year-End Review. Going back and remembering some of the great moments of the Gary Russen Program in 2019. Got a lot of really good ones too, and we're doing, the majority of our year-end review are from the Gary Russen Program, and a lot of them are from our Saturday Extra show. Now, this past summer, ran the Gary Russen Program Saturday Extra, every Saturday consistently for like about a week, or about a month, or maybe about 2 months. I'm not sure exactly how that went. And it got some popular reviews from some of my podcast followers, including Ed Delgado, the Caramel Conservative, and some of the few other ones who liked the fact that we were on Saturday afternoon, which you thought was kind of cool. So I had some great responses over that, and so I'm keeping that on Saturday afternoon, and I'll be talking about that program schedule coming up because, as I told you before, we're working on that consistently and making sure that all the shows are on Saturday afternoon. We're going to do that a lot.
Now, nationwide weather update. This is GJRB's Weather on the 5.
And we'll continue with our year-end review in just a little bit here on GJRB Online. Right now, though, let's take a look. There's a flow of Pacific moisture now, which is going to continue to bring in some heavy snow across the mountains and into the western U.S. into Thursday. Blizzard conditions will continue until Thursday, as well as some coastal portions of Alaska. Moisture streaming north from the Gulf of Mexico is going to contribute to isolated severe thunderstorms and locally heavy rain over the northern Gulf Coast. That'll be Thursday. That's tomorrow and Friday. So, again, Happy New Year from GJRB Online, and we'll give you a rundown on all that complete weather for you with Weather on the 5s. Weather on the 5s, 25 and 55 past the hour on all talk shows, and pretty much, and most music shows, including the best of jazz, smooth jazz, and our smooth jazz shows, the smooth afternoon, smooth evening, and, of course, 25 and 45 on shows like the Good Times, Great Oldies Show, and Back to the 80s. The Weather on the 5s right here on GJRB Online. This is the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the program wherever you're listening across the USA. And thank you for making this day the best. We do our year-end review. And it's fun doing this year-end review because there's so many clips that I could even play for you on this particular show. I mean, it's getting to a point where I was saying, okay, I can play a lot of these clips, but I might not have time for a lot of the clips because I have so much happening here that I'm not going to have all the time for every single one of them because there's so many out there to play. And I won't, I only picked the highlighted clips that I think are memorable. And I might not always have time to play all of them. Because, this show alone, 3 hours, and I only have time to play maybe the ones I've already picked. But I'm going to try to do the best I can to get a lot of clips in here that otherwise, I didn't pick in the original roundup. But I've got some more coming right up, so I hope you'll stay with me here on GJRB Online. And we're going to take a break and be right back with more of our year-end review right after this on GJRB.
Imagine one day to turn around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help.
Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.MeWe.com. That's M-E-W-E. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB.
Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's sports page. Join me for sports page at a brand new time, alternating Saturdays at noon on GJRB.
There's a problem on our roads today, and that is the safety of our children boarding and getting off the bus on busy roads. That problem is drivers who don't stop for a school bus when the arm is out, the lights are flashing, and the stop sign is out, leaving kids in danger of getting hit. Violators of this law could get a suspension of their driver's license and a $250 fine. When you see a school bus stop at a corner, letting off kids, stop 25 feet away from the bus. Don't take that chance. A public service announcement from the National Highway Safety Administration and GJRB Online.
Now, back to the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review on GJRB.
And welcome back to the Best of the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review here on GJRB Online. The Year-End Review retrospective of the Gary Russen Program in 2019. Had some interesting clips, some great memorable ones at best. And we're going to bring them to you here on it seems like a Friday. It seems like a Saturday sometimes. But otherwise, not too bad. When you get out of a holiday, like New Year's, whatever, it feels like it's coming out of a weekend. Because, for me anyway, because our weekends are pretty well busy with church activities and what have you. So it sometimes will feel like a Monday instead of a Wednesday. And this is, of course, being New Year's Day, which falls on a Wednesday this year. It feels like a Monday coming out of a Sunday, or whatever. But anyway, it's a holiday day, but it's like an average day for some reason. It just feels like any old day of the week, even though it's New Year's Day. And a lot of the holiday holiday bowls, whatever they call that, Rose Bowl, I think a lot of those games, a lot of them are played and the day before, the day after. There's some games that are played on New Year's Day, but realize that there's so many sports channels now that they don't always carry these games now over the regular channel lineup like they used to back in the day when you only had 3 networks. So now it's pretty much they run the games on, but it's mostly off the the normal programs air because basically because the networks have their you got all your football, you got your sports on all your sports networks like ESPN, and those are the ones that usually carry all the sporting events that used to be carried over the air, broadcast networks. Now with that in mind. Coming up now, we got some more interesting stories. Let's see, we had a mass shooting in 2019. We had many of them. We just had one here recently. But this one happened in New Zealand. This was back in March 16th. So we're jumping a month to March 16th, 2019. We got that coming up. The one clip that I was going to play for you was one where Trump accused of Acosta media lying, or the media. I can't find that clip. I've looked all over my episodes and I can't find that thing no how. So if I do ever find it, if it ever does turn up, I will play it on the next episode. So right now I cannot find it. For the life of me, I don't know where it disappeared to. I looked all over every single clip, every single episode of my show, and went into the endpoint on the show and can't find it. So I'm going to skip that one. I put an abort on there on my rundown because I can't find it nowhere. Just disappeared. So I'm going to jump to March 16th, 2019. And on that day, there was a mass shooting in New Zealand. Let's see if we can get that one back up here. Let me see. That is March 16th. That would be on the one I titled The G. I remember that day. For some reason, I had typed it and I didn't finish it, and it went up as The G. Which I think maybe every once in a while I do that just to get people's attention. I went up. It was called The G. That was the, and apparently on that particular show, which I'm gonna play here as soon as I get to that part. Let's see, where is that? It would be called The G. There it is. Which I'm gonna play for you. Gonna go to that right now and pull that up on the thing here and put it into the list here so that I can find the piece that I'm looking for. This would be about 8 minutes 3 seconds in. So 8 minutes 3 seconds in, around there, and talking about a mass shooting that happened, I think it was that weekend. I'm not sure exactly what day this happened. It might have been the previous day. This is originally aired from our episode of the Gary Russen program, March 16th, 2019. There was a mass shooting in New Zealand on that day. And not sure exactly all the whole story, but I talk about it on here, and we'll got that coming up. Also coming up on this show, we have an interesting one here too. Let's see, we got here Omar. Yeah, we're going to talk about Omar. Remember when she mocked 9/11? What was that? What was that? What was that? We got that coming up. We're going to talk about that one. And that was one that kind of ticked me off a little bit, because she was mocking something that, a disaster that killed a lot of people. And I was not particularly pleased with that one. So we've got that one coming up in this segment, so you want to tune in. And let's see, we'll talk about that. And I got some other really good ones too. Let's see if we can get this up on board here. Coming up. Let's see. Okay. I go into my email, and sometimes I can't get into my rundown. See, I told you before, I still don't have printer ink. So I have to run my rundown on my email account and bring it up through my tablet. And sometimes my tablet doesn't want to bring it up. So I have to go into my rundown on the computer and bring it up. So I have to do that one. That's the only way I can do that. So let's say we got right up here about, where Let's see, let's go right here. It is. Okay, here we go. The mass shooting in New Zealand, spelled it wrong on the rundown, from Saturday, this is from a Saturday Extra, March 16th, so it had to be like maybe the 15th or the 14th, and there's a mass shooting in New Zealand, and this is a real good one. Here it is, from the Gary Russen program, March 16th. This attack. This happened in New Zealand over Friday. Really tragic situation there. Multiple injuries, multiple terrorist attacks. They say that there's more than one involved. Dozens of people hurt as a mosque in New Zealand at the Christchurch on Friday. White supremacy. It was filmed, and he actually filmed himself doing the shooting rampage. This is what's sick about it, folks. This guy actually filmed himself doing the rampage. Listen to this.
As to the chain of that led to both holding of this gun license and the possession of these weapons, I can tell you one thing right now. Our gun laws will change. There have been attempts to change our laws in 2005, 2012, and after an inquiry in 2017. Now is the time for change.
And basically, that is, I'm not sure exactly who that was, but actually the terrorists published a lengthy manifesto, created a racial political division in the Western nations and would spark armed conflict. The Daily Wire will not quote or publish any selection from that manifesto. Doing so would give the terrorists what they want. Let me see if I can find out again who that was actually.
It has been done as to the chain.
Let me see if there's no graphic on the screen.
Of this gun license.
So I don't know who was speaking there. But New Zealand police now, and this is the New Zealand police commissioner there. This New Zealand police commissioner talking about who they abducted, who they arrested over the shooting.
No, not at this stage. 4 are in custody. 3 are men and 1 a woman. 1 is a woman, as I understand it. It's moving quite quickly, so I need to frame that in that way. That's what we believe at this moment.
So that was their police commissioner talking, and it's from an ABC News clip. The New Zealand police commissioner says that 4 people were in custody at the mosque. So there's more than one person involved in this. And right now, as they say, it's New Zealand's darkest days, according to their Prime Minister. Quote, clearly, what happened here was extraordinary and unprecedented act of violence. Many of the affected may be migrants, may be refugees. Erdon added, this is Jacinda Ardern. Okay, saying this is the Prime Minister of New Zealand. The perpetrator is not, and there is no place in New Zealand for acts of extreme, unprecedented violence. And this breaking news story, refresh page for updates. Recent story. So this is updates on this story, and I'll keep an eye on it for you as we go along this afternoon. And you're listening to the best of the Gary Russen program, Year in Review, here on GJRB Online. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the program. Going back and retrospecting the year in review of the Gary Russen program. Hope you're enjoying it. And we've got more great memories from 2019 for you here on GJRB Online's Year in Review. And you're on Spreaker. We're going to go now to April 13th now. And this is from the opening of the Gary Russen program that day. And remember back when Ilhan Omar, she was making fun of the planes hitting the tower, and she made light of it. Remember that? And this is from April 13th of this of last year on the Best of the Gary Russen Program Year in Review here on GJRB Online. This is from our opening of the news on that day. Ilya and Omar in Washington, some of the other stories. This story is, of course, the one I want to talk about today is the congresswoman who's a Muslim who stated that President Trump's tweet on video fanning the flames of the record right-wing uproar over a comment by Representative, and I really don't know how to pronounce this, I'm going to probably butcher it, Omar, who's a Democrat out of Minnesota, she's a Muslim, about the September 11 terrorists.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something.
You have no idea right now.
Another plane just hit. Some people did something.
Oh my goodness, there is smoke pouring out the Pentagon.
Some people did something.
It just flew straight into it.
Okay, so I don't know, something that, anyway, Trump tweeted about this video, which alternates between an out-of-context remark Omar made during a speech last month and the footage of the terrorist attacks, which attempted to characterize her as a dismissive of a tragedy. And it's unclear whether or not Trump's administration made the video or if it was harvested from another account. Trump joins a chorus of conservative media voices who have tried to paint Omar, saying that some people, quote, some people did something during the speech. You heard that. The speech is being flippant about the September 11th. In reality, Omar was speaking about why the Council in American Islamic Relations ramped up its efforts to combat Islamophobia in the wake of the attacks. CHAIR, CHAIR, which is the organization supporting Islamics, founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us are starting to lose access to our civil liberties. Omar, a freshman lawmaker, is one of the first Muslim women elected to Congress during the speech to CHAIR members. The video Trump posted included footage of the planes crashing into the towers, despite the broadcast networks moving away from showing that specific imagery in recent years. Research has shown that just watching that footage from September 11th attacks can be enough to trigger clinically diagnosable stress responses in people, even those who were nowhere near the attacks when it happened. Several high-profile lawmakers called Trump's actions fellow freshman Representative Alexandria Cortez, the so-called Democrat out of New York, who I believe is still a bartender, but that's my opinion according to what I've been hearing from Mike Reagan, that she's put in there as an actress, stated that argued that Trump is putting Omar's life in danger. How is he doing that? Really? How is he doing that? Tell me. I'd like to know. How is he putting his life in danger? That doesn't make sense. I mean, really, it doesn't. And we had that one. That's an interesting one. You have to wonder about that one myself. But you're listening to the Year in Review on GJRB Online, the Gary Russen Program, Best of the Gary Russen Program Year in Review. And like I said about 30 minutes ago, I have so many of these clips, and there's so many to cover, that I'm going to do a two-parter today and on Friday. But that's going to wrap it up. And then, like I said before, I'm going to be bringing back the Best of the Gary Russen Program. We'll do a clip format like this one. But I'm also going to take some of the Gary Russen programs and replay them. So we're going to go through some of the Gary Russen programs from last year and play those. And going to mix them up with the most recent shows. In other words, there'll be some shows getting repeated here on GJRB. And those will be part of the Best of the Gary Russen program. Now, that show's going to alternate with the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra. So, if I try to get a hold of Ben Osman, usually early in the week, to see whether or not he's going to be on our show. But for any reason he can't make it onto our show, then the Saturday Extra, I will start playing clips of past shows, or for any reason whatsoever that he can't make the show, and I know he's not going to make the show, but I'm still going to go on the air, then I'm going to just repeat an old Gary Russen program. Okay, so that's going to be part of under the Best of the Gary Russen program moniker, and it will become part of the show, the Best of the Gary Russen program, returning to the air in 2020 here on GJRB Online. Either a clip show like now as part of the Saturday Extra, or the Best of the Gary Russen program year in review, or rather the Best of the Gary Russen program, a weekly review of some of the past 5. We're going to take, I'm going to say, a maximum, because the Gary Russen program, according to my schedule and how I'm going to work it, and I'm going to talk about that later too, because my schedule right now is going to be kind of iffy. And as I mentioned, did I say last year? Last year. As I said last year, that this program, the Gary Russen program, and all the other GJRB programs are going to have a schedule, but I'm putting all the programs on a regular schedule. These are the programs that are normally going to be on a regular schedule. Basically. A lot of the shows which have a time slot will be the ones that are going to air in their time slots. The other programs are going to be open schedule, spontaneous. And those programs will air whenever, either here on Spreaker or on the GJRB Podbean platform. Now, the GJRB Podbean platform, as I mentioned earlier, is going to change over to call letters this year of WGJRB. It will be WGJR Online Worldwide, which will be a different radio station altogether. Still going to have the Gary Russen program, but that program will air on that one. Will be the Gary Russen program on WGJR Online Worldwide. And basically will be a different station altogether. But some programs will get repeated there. We'll replay on there too as well. Once I get that established and try to get the sound to work right over Podbean, which right now I'm just trying to get all that set up so it sound better. But right now, though, I think that's pretty much how that's going to go. And like I said before, I'm going to do a GJRB schedule update podcast. Don't know when. I'm just kind of right now working on the framework to that. It's going to be a video on the GJRB TV YouTube channel as a video with audio uploaded on Spreaker. So the audio portion will get uploaded on Spreaker, but you'll see the video on the GJRB TV YouTube channel. That's how that's going to work, because I'm going to have it set up that way so that you can see the schedule, and you'll see the schedule graph, which I'll be working on, and all the open parts, which I'll mark open. It'll just say open. Okay, if there's no program on there, it's going to be open. And basically, those are the days, schedule on which I will put a show in its time slot. And what I'm probably going to do is it'll air, the program will come on in a time slot I want to try for, and it'll be in reruns. It'll be a rerun of a previous show, which will air in that time slot to see how that's going to work. And then, we're going to kind of frame it up. So everything this year, pretty much from now until maybe June, July, somewhere around there, is going to all be spontaneous. We're going to do spontaneous programming so that I can frame my schedule, see how it's going to work. We're going to do schedule. It's going to be half schedule, half, all the programs that are scheduled will go on the air. And then the programs that aren't scheduled in a time slot will go spontaneous until I find a time slot for it and how it's going to work. So that's pretty much all that is going to deal with. Right now, we're going to continue with our year-end review. We're getting into hour number 2 of our program, our year-end review here on GJRB Online. I hope you're enjoying it. This is the Gary Russen Program year-end review, the best of the Gary Russen Program 2019. January here on Spreaker, here on GJRB Online and the GJRB Online Network. And we'll have more coming up as we continue this program. And we got some more really good clips to play for you yet, so keep it here. Now nationwide weather update. This is GJRB's Weather on the 5. All right, let's take a look right now. Our current temperature right now on GJRB Online on our Spreaker page is right now, from according to the Mayer Farms at the Eagle Point Station, is currently now 44 degrees. 44 degrees at our Eagle Point Station right now at Mayer Farms, just above our Lions Shopping District here in Clinton, at GJRB Online. 44 degrees, relative humidity 64%, dew point 32 degrees. It's clear right now with a barometric pressure at 29.55 inches of mercury. Right now, though, we have a 10% chance of precipitation tonight. Clouds, low about 34 degrees. South-southwest winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds. Sun in the morning, followed by some cloudy skies during the afternoon. We'll expect a high about 46 degrees. Southwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. 10% chance of precipitation tomorrow night. Considerable cloudiness, low about 28. We'll have a winds at around northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Once again, current temperature 44 degrees. In Los Angeles right now, as we're checking in with some of the current temperatures across America, 69 degrees and sunny right now in Los Angeles. Des Moines, Iowa is checking in 49 degrees with fair skies. In Salem, Massachusetts, 37 degrees is the current temperature. Clinton, Iowa here, we already said that. North Platte, Nebraska, 45 degrees and cloudy right now. And we have Texas, Houston, Texas, 59 degrees. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, it's 0. Let's take a look down the line a little bit. Truckee, California right now, where it is getting close to 2 o'clock hour, 1:57 Pacific time. In Truckee, California, and it's 45 degrees and mostly cloudy. Charleston, South Carolina, 60 under sunny skies. And once again, here at our GJRB Spreaker Studios, 44 degrees. And you're listening to the year-end review, a recap of what some of the best memories of GJRB Online, and I really enjoy doing this. This is kind of fun, doing the year-end review, remembering some of those old clips. And see, I remember when I did those shows. Because I do. I remember a lot of when I did a lot of these shows. So it kind of brings back some fond memories. And we'll be right back after we take this station break. We've got some more really good stuff coming your way as we continue the year-end review on GJRB. Recently the owner of Facebook had a Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.mewe.com. That's MEWE. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows, back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help.
Okay, we're in the second hour of the best of the Gary Russen program year-end review 2019, and I'm Gary J. Russen with you. It's 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Pacific, and this is, I'm Gary J. Russen. This is the year-end review of the Gary Russen program, the best of 2019. This is the GJRB Online Network. And I hope you'll stay with me for the second hour of our year-end review of the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online, taking a look at some of the past segments of the show, remembering some of the year gone by, which hard to believe we're in 2020. It's mind-blowing, if to say the least, I gotta tell you, because wow, I mean, where's the year gone? You have to ask yourself that question. It's just wow. But here we are in 2019. Coming up this hour on our show, we're going to go back and remembering Ben Osman. We had tried to call him on the air here. We had some issues there. We had trouble finding Ben. And then we talked about Art Bell. And that was real good. Remembering some of Art Bell. That was a great memory. So we're going to go back now to that moment and bring you some of that. And this is a year-end review of the Gary Russen program. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're listening across America. And thank you so much for tuning into the show. The year-end review here on Spreaker, on GJRB Online. And we're just kind of doing this on Spreaker only today. I'm not doing the FM signal. But it will be repeated on the 9-foot FM signal later. We'll have that airing on our closed circuit later on in the week. And I will have that show on. So just to let you know, that's what we're going to do there. Because at this point I wanted to just play around with this. See how it's going to go. Some segments will air, some won't. If I can't find a segment, I'll skip to the next one. So that's how that's going to go. And so some might not follow my rundown and my time calculations, but I'm just going to do it anyway and just run this. So right now we're going to go. We're going to go now to we're going to go down to April 13th of this year. And at that time, this will be from part 2, April 13th. And let me see if I can find that. Let me see, make sure I got the right one. April 13th, part 2. And it was, because we already did April 13th, part 1 with Omar. So this is part 2. And we're talking to, this would be, we were talking about, let's see here. 108. Let's see about 108 in. Okay, we're going to have to maybe for that. We're going to remember when we tried to get a hold of Ben, we were getting kind of frustrated because sometimes Ben was canceling out on us. And talking about Art Bell, too, as well. And this is from our show, April 13th, part 2, April 13th, 2019. The best of the Gary Russen program, trying to call Ben Osman. Quite a bit on the show. And of course, I do this on the Gary Russen program, regular shows, Saturday Extra. Just to make it more fun, call somebody on the air. I do that once in a while. Just say, don't call us, we'll call you. Yeah, Sugarloaf. Give you a chance to ring up Ben Osman Osman. Yeah, we got here GJRB Online, 50 minutes of nonstop talk right here on GJRB Online. Of course, that's our theme to Don't Call Us, We'll Call You, and we're going to do that right now with giving a call to Ben Osman Osan. Let's see if he is in there somewhere out in the ether listening to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. So let's see what we get here. We're going to contact him now and see if he's ringing. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if we get an answer. We're calling Ben Osman Osan and see if he still remembers he's going to be on today. And sometimes if he doesn't answer, then I know something's up. And so we're ringing him right now. It always makes for interesting radio, doesn't it? I mean, really. Like I said before, we've had this before where things just come up, and he has a new job. And we have to find out what that job is. If you ever get a hold of him. Doesn't sound like he's home, so I'm hoping that maybe perhaps if he's out in the ether, listening online, that we get him. I'm going to say there was no answer, so I'm going to see if I get a response from that by a ring. And if we don't, I will leave him a message after we get off the air that I tried to call him, and apparently something must have come up. He said he was good for today, so I was hoping maybe perhaps we would have heard from him usually in the second hour of our show. But like you said before, he has some new job now, and apparently takes a lot of his time. So sometimes he can be on here, and sometimes he can't. So unfortunately, you know how it goes. Well, anyhow, let's see. While we're doing that, I'm going to pull up that little thing I call a scroll through social media. So I'm going to go into my Best of the Gary Russen program and pull that up because we're going to do that right now. We've been doing Facebook, but we haven't entirely doing Facebook. So I had planned on doing that this hour. And let me see. Well, before I forget, because I'll put this back on, I'm going to edit out and go into my effects side and pull up my happy birthday theme from our thing here and look for, because I got that coming up, our birthdays for today. So we're going to do that. And we're remembering Art Bell, who died a year ago today. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. You know, I was talking about some of the great memories. One of them is Mel's Hole. Oh, man, that is still, to this day, the most weirdest story I ever heard in my life is when he did that Mel's Hole. They actually threw a refrigerator down this hole, and there was no sound. Where did it go? It was weird. It's supposedly a bottomless pit in this guy's property, And they never did explain exactly what that was about, but it's always a well-remembered one. And we were also talking about, and we were talking to someone on Spreaker last night who follows Spaced Out Radio, SOR, and she, I guess, was a relative of this guy who actually flew his plane over Area 51 on a night that he called Art Bell. He was on the radio with Art Bell from this plane flying over. And, we're not sure exactly what really kind of transpired that night, but I remember I was not married yet. Still living by myself in an apartment there, and I was up late listening to Coast, and this guy was in the plane flying above Area 51. And he was talking to Art Bell. And it's one of the weirdest episodes of that show that I can remember straight. It was bizarre. No joke. Loved it, though. And I was talking about that here the other day, or last night. The bit with Art Bell was absolutely fabulous. And till this day, I think it was one of the most weirdest episodes of that Coast to Coast that I remember listening to. Was that particular show? Was, like they said before, the way he interviewed was absolutely stunning. I mean, he would use dead air as a dramatic way to interview people. And the way he did it was absolutely genius. He was incredible in many ways, and I miss old Art. I mean, he's on tonight. If you have TuneIn and the TuneIn app, there are what's the other one? What's the other one? iHeartRadio. Many stations air Coast to Coast with Art Bell in reruns on Saturday night from 8 to midnight Central Time, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern on the Premier Networks. Many affiliated radio stations do pick it up. I know a few of them. WTAM in Cleveland, if they don't have an Indians game on, and or a few other radio stations but so you just have to check. I would say go on iHeartRadio and check some of the affiliates. Just kind of slam through those, whittle through them. You'll find it. Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. And I listen to that quite a bit, and it plays on my 9-foot signal, Talk FM 108. I have that on the schedule, but we haven't been airing it lately. But I'm going to be making sure that we do have Talk FM on Saturday sometimes to air Somewhere in Time, because Art Bell was fabulous. He was just incredible. And well missed. I'm telling you. Hey, okay, listen to the year-end review here on GJRB Online, the best of the Gary Russen program of 2019 here on Spreaker across America. Hope you're enjoying our year-end review program. And, of course, like I said before, we have the clips. We have a lot of clips for this show, and we're kind of running behind schedule, but I really don't care because a lot of the other clips I have to find while one's playing. And not only that, I want to save some clips for the next edition. We're going to wrap up this show on Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock Central, right here on GJRB Online, the Gary Russen program, Freestyle Friday edition. We're going to wrap up this year-end review and play some more clips at random. And it's not going to be that big of a show. It's just going to be that kind of show. And then Saturday, we're going to be back on the air with our regular show live, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, back on the air Saturday. And I'm going to get a hold of Ben. I'm thinking maybe he'll be able to be on with us. If not, we'll do some more clips, okay? Which will launch the regular Best of the Gary Russen program. All right, so we're going to do that. So when we get back into more of the show, and this next segment, I was talking about this earlier, canceling the Best of the Gary Russen program. As I said earlier, that's going to return to the airwaves. But this is going back to that same show, which originally aired. Again, Ben canceled on us on that program. And I talked about canceling the Best of the Gary Russen program. And I got some more stuff here. Ben canceled on us on that particular episode. So we're going to go back now to our show from April 13th, 2019 in the part 2 part of the show. Here it is now, talking about how I'm going to call off the Best of the Gary Russen program. For a fact, I was just thinking about this the other day when I abruptly canceled the Best of the Gary Russen program. Because the Best of the Gary Russen program is just a conglomeration of some of the best moments of this show over the period of time. Well, finding out that a lot of that show is very, very high contented. And it's very, very hard for me to put that show together because there's so much clips that I have to go through. It takes so much time to do it. And I don't have that much time anymore to do that. So I kind of put that show on cancellation. But I'm thinking about bringing it back a different way. And that is that I'm going to have replays of the Gary Russen program of the past few shows. In other words, some of the best shows that I've done, some of the real good ones that I've done this past year, I'll do replays. So we might do Gary Russen program reruns on Saturdays from time to time instead of this show. So like and alternating with this show. So in other words, to alternate with this show, which we have as second Saturday of the month, the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra. If for any reason, and Ben said he'd do this the day before, let me know that he's going to be available to be on the air Friday night. If he did let me know ahead of time, then I can either say, okay, I'm going to do this show the way I'm doing it now, or I'm going to rerun a Gary Russen program Saturday Extra that I had been on and just replay that one, which I could probably do. Now, I can't remember I have to check the last show I had him on. I can't remember exactly how far back that was. But maybe perhaps I'll do that the next time. I'm going to try him again next Saturday. We'll do this again next Saturday. And I will see if we can get him set up again next Saturday. If for any reason he doesn't get on, I'm going to have a standby segment where I interviewed him on a previous Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, and we'll just replay that. Just play maybe, that particular segment. And we'll just replay that for an hour. And that's what we'll do if he doesn't make it. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to message him after I get off the air. And like I said before, he used to do that to me quite a bit. It's not that it's his own fault, because it really isn't. He has a job where he works at a sports facility. I don't know. I think he still does, if I'm not mistaken. But he sometimes can't always. He gets called into work, or his former boss calls him, or one or the other. And so sometimes he'll, at the last minute, call, or message me while I'm on the air live on a Saturday afternoon, or totally forget about it because he has something going on, and something happening there, and so sometimes he can't make the show. So I'm going to always have a backup, and that backup, of course, like I said before, is previous clips of previous shows. So that's how I'm going to work that in. Because I think it just makes more sense than getting all aggravated because he can't make it, because it's really not his fault, you know. Yeah, he's a busy man. He's got things going on. He's got a life. And this is just GJRB Online Internet Radio at its best. And not that I don't have a life, which, you know, more than likely I do, but here we go. It's, you know, internet radio, and that's what I do, and I don't have the life other people have. So, you know, things, you know, my shows go on, but my guests have other things going on too. So sometimes they can't make the program. And I can understand that situation as it is. And, you know, other talk show hosts have gone through this. I know Spaced Out Radio, that guest, he had to change his guest at the last minute a number of times when his guest had canceled out on him, either due to being sick or, you know, there's something happens that, you know, they can't make the program. And that, again, is what happens. Just, you have to deal with the flow here. Sometimes those things just come up. And it can, you know, mess things up at best. So it's always good to have a backup when, you know, don't depend on, you know, and I say this to, I would say, a lot of podcasters that do shows. You know, you can't always depend on that guest. You know, you can book a guest for a program, but or a podcast, but sometimes that guest has something come up at the last minute, and it can, you know, pull, you know, things a little in another direction that you wouldn't otherwise expect, and that's true to this case. You know, just can't depend on always happening the way you want it, say. All right, you're listening to the Gary Russen program here in review, and since we're behind schedule, I'm not going to follow my itinerary. I'm not going to follow my rundown anymore, because I pretty much all I'm going to do is just look at what I got coming up next according to the calculations on the list. But I'm not going to worry about starting them on time, or you know, it's just going to look at the list of the programs or a list of the segments. But I'm not going to worry about, you know, the time calculations anymore, because I'm behind by about 5 minutes anyway on this calculation. So I'm just going to keep right on rolling along here, and we'll continue with our year-end review. Hope you're enjoying it, and if you like our program and you want to just please hit that like button. If you're listening to this year-end review show, if you like it, hit that like button, send it around, and, you know, distribute the show, let people know about it. And by the way, for people, I will have this show available for Podbean listeners as well. So Podbean listeners will be able to get this program as well. I will have the first 2 hours of this program on Podbean, so you can listen over there, and then you can come over to Spreaker here and listen to the last hour, and I'll move things around because Podbean doesn't give very much storage space, so I only can put in so many hours at a time on there. So on my Podbean website, so I will have that, you know, on for a little bit, and then like next couple of days I will put the last part on. So I'm breaking this show up in hours. Hour 1, hour 2, and then put those 2 hour, you know, hour 1, hour 2 of this, and put it on Podbean, and then I will flip it around and put the final hour on, and then I'll do the Friday show that we do. I'll put that up on Podbean later. So it'll just take turns for the next couple of days, and then, because I have followers on Podbean who like the show, so I'm going to put the year-end review on there so that people who are listening to me on Podbean will have a chance to catch our show and see what our show's about. So that's another great thing about this is that I can take the show over to Podbean, and their audience on there can see what this show's all about. And like whether they like it or not, if they like it, that's great. Then they come over here and listen here on Spreaker and know what the Gary Russen program's about. And this show will be heard quite a bit on Podbean in 2020. Okay, so just to let you know about that as we roll into the new year. On the new call letters, the new name for that station on Podbean will be WGJR Online Worldwide. So that name is going to commence here, and I will probably be making promos for it too along the way as well. All right, they're getting close to the 25 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock Central Standard Time right now, 5:25 Eastern, 2:25 Pacific, and you're listening to the Gary Russen Program Year in Review here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker, and then later on Podbean and on our 9-foot closed circuit FM 108 and 88.9. Right now, though, let's do that right now. Weather on the phone now. A nationwide weather update. This is GJRB's Weather on the Phone. And let's take a look at some of the current temperatures across the country from north to south. As we head in there, let's take a look at Seattle, Washington right now, 52 degrees. 56 degrees in Portland today, right now, currently. 58 degrees in San Francisco, 52 in Las Vegas. Getting down to Los Angeles right now, 70 degrees. 58 degrees in El Paso, Texas. 56 degrees in Dallas. And Houston's checking in at 58. 62 degrees in New Orleans, Louisiana. 49 degrees in Little Rock, Arkansas right now. And there's a winter storm watch for Utah and, let me see, where else is that? Wyoming. Blizzard warnings there, as a matter of fact, for Wyoming, for Carbon counties, and we'll get you all details of that coming up. 41 degrees tonight for Seattle, 35 for Billings, Montana, 34 for Bismarck. Rapid City, South Dakota, 29 degrees, 34 degrees in Milwaukee, 35 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, and tomorrow's high temperature is expected 55 for St. Louis, 48 degrees for New York City, and 52 for Washington, D.C. Baltimore's checking in with 50 tomorrow, 55 for Raleigh, and 74 for Jacksonville. Here's Weather Nation.
Hey, we all like to measure snow, especially in ski country.
That is Alta, Wyoming, and they're doing it in style right there. Of course, they've got the big lit up sort of ruler right there in the snow. They're up to about, looks like about 5 inches, just about 4.5 inches of snow. But I like all the characters there. Is that R2-D2 on the right, wearing reindeer antlers with Christmas bulbs hanging from his ears there? That's pretty cool stuff there. So yeah, that's what's going on in Alta. That was earlier today. And Steve, we're going to be actually adding to those snowfall totals here in the coming hours.
And of course, the perfect figure to have there, Olaf, right there from the Disney classic.
That's right. I like Olaf. He was my favorite character in Frozen.
Oh, it's good to know. Yeah, Frozen 2, of course.
I didn't see Frozen 2.
Well, you will. You will soon.
Maybe.
You'll appreciate it. Look, we are talking about building a snowman and not minding the cold. It's winter here across the area, and we're getting into the depths of winter, too, now that we're getting into January. Happy New Year's Day to you. Since we showed you Wyoming, let's take you right into the Rocky Mountain region across the western United States. It might not look that impressive to the eye, but a lot of times what happens in the wintertime especially, these snow showers are kind of nestled within the mountain where the nearby radar beams are scanning the sky, but the mountains block it. So a lot of times you get these snow showers that are in between the mountains or on top of some other passes, and they might not be seen by the radar. So the ground conditions usually end up being a lot more snowier than what the eye can see here on the radar. And that's the case right now across Colorado. Interstate 70, boy, it's a snowy, windy drive. I-70 over Vail Pass. And we've had blizzard reports west of Cheyenne, especially on the way over to Rawlins and Rock Springs. Really treacherous part of Interstate 80, notoriously, too. And that is living up to that name tonight with that blowing snow and low visibility. And take a look at this. We've got our own wind and snow moving into the Salt Lake Valley. The benches east of Salt Lake City will pick up appreciable snow, up to several inches of snow. And that's the case up to Interstate 90 as well, cutting through Montana and eventually over to Washington with steady snow. Not the only location that we're seeing the white stuff and the powder. We're seeing that across northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. And then it's all green, my friends. We've got rain, some heavy at times, into the southern Gulf Coast from Corpus Christi to Houston with our other major story. But since we showed you Salt Lake City, let's show you what it looks like on the ground. A gray sky, snow falling down, but at least, Matt, the roads are doing okay at that picture.
Yeah, they're kind of wet right there. Looks like there might be a little bit of slush on those, but they're still rather passable there. And that is, of course, Salt Lake City. I love the mountains there across the valley. That's a really cool shot right there in the Salt Lake City area. Salt Lake is forecasting 3 to 6, 4 to 8 inches of snow. It's all part of this big winter storm that's coming right across the Intermountain West and down through across the Rockies. We've got snow going on today, tonight, early tomorrow across the Cascades too. So above 3,000 feet, it's about 3 to 6 inches. You get above 4,000 feet, it's going to be at least twice that. And then a lot of snow coming in through Idaho, western Montana, down through Jackson Hole and Jackson, Wyoming. Tetons are getting themselves over a foot of snow, and then Jackson in town already about 3 to 6 inches on the ground, and an additional 3 to 6 inches yet to come. Then, of course, we're seeing the snowflakes fly in Salt Lake City. That's going to really start sticking on the roadways. So right now, Salt Lake, you're driving around, you're in pretty good shape. A few hours from now, there is going to be snow sticking to roadways there, and a lot of snow coming up out across the Wasatch and through Park City, Alta, Brighton Ski Resort, right up Little Cottonwood Canyon and through Snowbird. And then, probably late tonight in through tomorrow night, we'll see the snow spread eastward out across the Colorado Rockies. That could be as many as 18 inches of snow up in towns like Steamboat Springs. Rabbit Ears Pass is going to be a tough go of it there. Okay, of course, now, we're counting down the top 10 biggest events of the year. Here we go. Let's count down the next one.
Force winds, feet of snow, tornadoes, record pressure levels. This March storm truly had it all. It's also why the bomb cyclone winds up at the number 5 spot on Weather Nation's top 10 weather events from 2019. You've probably heard about a storm bombing out or undergoing rapid intensification, known officially as bombogenesis. The official definition of bombogenesis is a storm's central pressure dropping by 24 millibars in 24 hours or less. While this often happens with nor'easters on the eastern seaboard of the United States, it's highly unusual to see such rapid intensification over land, as this bomb cyclone exploded with a 24 millibar pressure drop in just 16 hours. That meant that this storm was going to produce really bad weather for a big chunk of the country. While some of Colorado's mountains saw up to 50 inches of snow, this storm will mainly be remembered for 2 distinct things. 1, the wind it produced, and 2, the barometric pressure records that it set. Let's start with the wind. The peak gust from this storm was an 109-mile-an-hour wind gust in Grand Prairie, Texas, and at least 5 different states saw hurricane-force wind gusts. Colorado Springs saw its strongest ever wind, a 96-mile-an-hour gust. Denver International Airport saw an 80-mile-an-hour gust, shutting down the airport for nearly 24 hours. But this storm will find itself in the record books for another reason: record-setting barometric pressure. In Colorado, a new state low-pressure record was set in Lamar with a 970 millibar reading confirmed by the Colorado Climate Center. The city of Clayton, New Mexico also recorded its lowest ever pressure reading, as did the cities of Pueblo and Alamosa, Colorado. As if that weren't enough, the warm side of the storm also produced dozens of tornadoes, including an EF2 twister near the city of Paducah, Kentucky, barely missing the National Weather Service's office in the city. Remember, you can find this and all of our top 10 weather events of 2019 on WeatherNationTV.com. For Weather Nation, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi.
To take out a bullet.
Okay, there you go. Weather on the 5s. We'll have another rundown of the weather on the 5s. 25 and 55 past the hour on all talk shows, including the Gary Russen program. Way out there, returning to the airwaves. This we'll have a new season start. We'll restart Way Out There season, and radio, television, movie classics as well, coming up in January and February here on GJRB Online. Weather on the 5s, and I hope you'll stay with me. We got some more good stuff here on our program, and I hope you're enjoying the program. Our year-end review of the Gary Russen program, the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra, the Gary Russen program Evening Edition, all the Gary Russen programs that, and dig out some of the moments that we remember from all those shows, some of the great ones, and we'll be digging out some more for Friday. So I hope you'll tune in for that show. Should be pretty good, and we'll be remembering some more of those great moments of the past year of the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online, and I hope you enjoy it. And of course, you know, we always have another feature which I run during our hard breaks a lot of times, and that is I bring you a moment from a past Gary Russen program, and I go further back than that sometimes. I'll go back to some of the earlier Gary Russen programs like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So just kind of remember some of those great times of the past show, which is absolutely fabulous, and I enjoy doing those programs. So got more coming up, so stay with me as we continue our year-end review. We're going to crank up. It's now 4:35 Central Standard Time right now. 4:35. It's 5:35 Eastern and 2:35 Pacific, and we'll continue with our year-end review. Coming up on our year-end review, we got some more stuff here. As we're going to start 50 minutes of non-stop review, and we're going to go wall-to-wall-to-wall non-stop review. Okay, so stick around, because coming up, we have for you some more great memories from 2019. And we're going to continue trying to get a hold of Ben. I got a couple more shows where I get a hold of Ben and my frustration toward that, but we'll talk about that. Also coming up, and that will be an interview I did with Blake Myers. Blake was in the Ragbri this past summer riding his unicycle. It was fabulous. I have an interview with him on one of the shows. That was the Gary Russen program from April 20th, I believe. Our April 20th edition of the Gary Russen program. Yep, April 20th. I interview Blake Myers about preparing for the Ragbri. He rode on his unicycle. Great 16-minute piece. And then we're going to have another one where we're going to give you my frustrations. I had a lot of frustrations with Facebook this summer. Being that they were blocking my shows, I wasn't getting any listeners. So that's all coming up. Stay tuned. We'll continue the best of the Gary Russen program year in review after we take this break. We'll be right back. Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.MeWe.com. That's MEWE. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between, like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help.
Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's Sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's Sports page.
Join me for Sports Page at a brand new time, alternating Saturdays at noon on GJRB.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between, like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land. End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB.
To the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review on GJRB.
All right, back on the air for the year-end review here on GJRB Online on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen as we crank out 50 minutes of non-stop wall-to-wall memorable moments from the past Gary Russen program for 2019. The Gary Russen Program Year-End Review 2019 on the air right now here on GJRB Online on Spreaker. Yeah. And coming up next hour, we're going to be doing our shout-outs. Even though it's a year-end review, we're still going to do our shout-outs and promotions of podcasts from Podbean and Spreaker. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up as we continue the year-end review here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Happy New Year to all you out there listening and doing our year-end review. And I enjoy doing it too. I loved doing this program, having a blast doing the segments. Excuse me, I'm snacking while I'm doing the show. It's something I do quite often. I know. Kind of fall short of sounding like my good friend there, Huber, do a little belch in there. Mine's kind of weak. But anyhow, we got a lot of really good stuff here on our year-end review, so I hope you'll stay with me. We've got a lot of really more interesting, memorable moments that I want to play for you. So we're going to get back into it here on GJRB Online. And we had a lot of really good ones. We're going to remember something. Oh, by the way, we're going to do a little remembrance of all the people who died in 2019. I've got a couple on here. One, we're going to remember some of the musicians that we lost in 2019. One of them, of course, is a fabulous artist. Let's see, we got that memory here. I think it's from our May 17th show. We're going to go back and remember some of the artists that we lost from our May 17th episode. And that's coming on down the line. I'm going to go down to the next hour here and let's see where that is. Spreaker, this past year, has dropped its web-based console. We're going to play a little segment on that one. And I told you before how Facebook blocked me, and I feel a feeling that was it. How President Trump is requiring all immigrants to speak English. And we lost Ric Flair, wrestling manager, died at 70. I'm going to talk about that one. A woman who pushes an elderly man off a bus. So some of the ones we got coming up. And remembering, like I said, what did we lose this year? What was it? The guy who, we'll go through those. Anyway, I have a special segment on my Saturday show. I'll play you and remember everybody who died in 2019. So that'll be coming up on our Friday show when we wrap up this year-end review. So keep it here on GJRB Online. We'll have another one on the air Friday, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time right here on Spreaker for our year-end review, the conclusion, or I should call it the year-end review 2019, the wrap-up. The wrap-up. So stay tuned for that one. That's coming up at the on Friday. Okay? So just to let you know about that. Right now, though, why don't we're going to jump to, I'm going to say now, let me go into my player. I'm going to say we're going to go now to April 20th, I believe, right? We're going to go April 20th. Okay, let me see what we got here. Okay. Sometimes I have to go in there and hit my rename to make sure I got the right one I want to load next. Okay, for 420, so we're going to go to 4/20/19, April 20th. We were waiting for, talking about waiting for a discount on Spreaker, because at that time, I wanted to expand my service. This, one of the reasons why I felt is because I wasn't getting the listeners because I was only on for 45 minutes at a time, and when I go off the air, I would think my listeners would think I was done. And it got to a point where I got frustrated with that because I wasn't getting the listeners that I wanted on the program because of the fact that, no listeners and it was kind of getting frustrating. And Spreaker, wasn't giving me the opportunity to stay on longer to, gain those listeners that I wanted. And so at that time, I was waiting for a discount. So that's coming up. I got that one. Let's see if we got that here. Don't know. And I was still trying to get a hold of Ben Osman at that time as well, because at that time I was also kind of frustrated because I wasn't getting any further than, because like I said, no notice as to when he would be available, and it was to a point where I was about ready to give up doing a Saturday program. But thanks to Caramel Conservative Ed Delgado, who told me just keep the show going no matter what, because even though you don't have listeners, or you don't have the listeners that you want to capture at that time, just go on, do the show anyway. And because it was getting popular, by among a lot of people on the Spreaker public site. People were liking the fact that I was on Saturday afternoon doing a talk show, and he said, just roll with it, keep that show on the air. And that's what I did. And, it would stop in every often and listen to the Saturday program and call in. And we got one where it calls in. That segment will be heard on our Friday edition. I all have time to play that because it's pretty lengthy, but we'll have it on the Friday edition. Okay, so now you'll hear that Friday. I will play that Friday so that you can listen to it, because it's pretty good. And so we'll have that one coming up for you here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. Thanks a lot for tuning into the show, and I hope you're enjoying it wherever you're listening across America here on GJRB Online. So right now we're going to go to that Saturday Extra. Let's see, bringing back some of the best of the show, as I said before, and kind of adding to it. And I'm looking for the segment I'm looking for right now. It would be coming out of April 20th show. And I was talking about the discount on my Spreaker plan. So why don't we do that one first, and then we'll go over to the other one. So I'm going to go about 34 minutes in, I'd say approximately, when I started talking about it. And at that time, I was hoping I would get a discount on the Spreaker service. So this is from April 20th, Gary Russen program. Maybe, perhaps, like I said before, once I keep an eye on the Spreaker and see when they're going to have a discount on the broadcaster plan. And when I do see a discount, I would like to take advantage of it, because it would be nice to talk for a straight 3 hours without having to flip. Really don't mind doing that. It's just that when I go off the air, going into a break, what happens? I'll tell you what happens. People think I'm done, and then I lose my listeners at that break. And it kind of gets frustrating for me, especially since the fact that I don't get much listeners at all. And it just, crazy that there's nobody out there, but yet it's amazing how the other followers that I have their show hopping and their show hot, and it just seems like I'm not liked on here or something. Because why is it that my show doesn't get the hits that the other people get? That's what I'm trying to understand. And I think part of it is because it's flipping every 45 minutes. If I were to be able to stay on straight for a full 3 hours, I wouldn't even take that many promo breaks at all. Play some music, but I wouldn't take that many promo breaks. And the other day I was listening to Mike Myers, the Radio Hope, who says, why broadcast for 3 straight hours? Well, I'm in radio. That's what I do. That's what I like doing. I like having a show full straight, period, because I have a lot of things to cover, and I like to talk straight for 3 hours. I like to have a show for 3 hours, and I just need it, and it's hard to explain. It really is, but I do need it. I need that straight 3 hours, because that's how I do it. I really like to have it. I just get kind of frustrated because I guess I'm going to be ending here 8.5 minutes, and I got to take a break. And on my local end, but it would be great to be able to be on straight sometimes, especially on a Saturday, to get more listeners, because I look at my stats here on Spreaker, and I see how low they are, and sometimes I'd rather not look at them at all, because it does kind of depress me once in a while. It really does. And I do this because I love doing it. I love doing this radio stuff. I love being on here and doing a 3-hour straight show. But it gets frustrating when I'm only the one talking to myself and entertaining myself. And maybe the self-talk therapy stuff, and it's working for me today because I'm just not that best of moods. But every once in a while, it'd be great to have a hopping show like some of the other followers I have. It really would be great. Really would. Got a lot of stuff coming up here. We're going to do a little bit of a news even though I said I wasn't going to do any news, I'm going to find interesting stories. We're going to do a scroll through social media and see what we get here. A review here on GJRB Online, talking about that. The fact that my listenership was down at that time, wasn't sure exactly why, and it's getting a little better since I've jumped onto the 3-hour plan. I've been on here for quite some time. I got the plan around November. I think it was it 22nd, or is it? Yeah, around the anniversary of John F. Kennedy's assassination. But anyway, it's been a couple months I've been on here almost, and it's getting a little better. I'm starting to get popping listeners from time to time, but again, it's a year-end review show. And I'm going back through the year, and it really doesn't matter if I get listeners here or not, or no responses at all is fine. But maybe we get some listeners later. You're welcome to listen to this anytime. It's available on the GJRB Spreaker public site. All you do is get on www.spreaker.com/user/5120525, or just get on my Twitter. I am the Radio Maniac, and you'll find me on Twitter, and that's where you'll find the show. And when you get on there, you'll find everything that you want on this particular show. You'll find we got some good stuff here. So I hope you'll tune in. I hope you're enjoying the show, no matter where you're listening across the USA. And we're doing this program, and it's called the Gary Russen Best of the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review, reminiscing the past year of this program. So we have some, pretty good clips, and remembering some of the stuff from this past year, and tuning in, and whatever you want. Happy to tune in, and you'll find some interesting stuff coming up. We're going to talk about some more fun stuff, and I have some more clips to play for you. Coming out of a song on this one, we were playing nothing. We were coming out of the song that we usually play called "Nothing Like a Good Rain," which is a fabulous song. And I think we started talking about trying to get a hold of Ben again on this particular show. And then later on in there, I talked to Blake Myers about Ragbri. So that's coming up here on GJRB Online. Get that set up here real quick. And while I'm doing that, I'll get another Weather on the Fives jump in here real quick too. So we're going to do that. And we'll do an identification and stuff like that. Let's see if we got this going. Okay. All right. Let's see. We got that ready to go. Meanwhile, let's do Weather on the Fives. Now nationwide weather update. This is GJRB's Weather on the Fives. And we're talking about some of the storm conditions. Some of the areas that have triangles by them are ones that have adverse weather conditions. And we're talking about some of those, so I thought we'd kind of talk about those. And we're going to start with Los Angeles. Right now it's 69 degrees there at this time in Los Angeles. And usually the triangles mean there's adverse weather conditions. And in Los Angeles, California, they are under a high surf advisory. High surf advisory in Los Angeles, California at this time. And as soon as this flips over, it says here that it's a high surf advisory it will remain in effect until 8 p.m. Pacific time. 8 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 10 o'clock p.m. our time here in the Central Time Zone, 11 o'clock Eastern. The large breaking waves, about 5 to 7 feet, building to 7 to 9 feet tonight, and this is dangerous rift conditions there. West-facing beaches, and this will be in the Santa Barbara County area, South Coast. I was watching a train video the other night from Santa Barbara, by the way. That's pretty cool. From Amtrak on Facebook. rather on YouTube. And again, this is Santa Barbara County, South Coast. Impacts will be increased risk of ocean drowning. Rip currents, which can pull swimmers and surfers out into the sea. Large breaking waves can cause injury, wash people off beaches and rocks, and capsize small boats as well. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, especially in the Santa Barbara County, you want to be aware of that. Stay away from the beaches. Don't go swimming, because they say that there's high rip currents, and that's in effect until 8 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, for that area, so be aware of that. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some other advisories. Salem, Massachusetts, let's take a look at you guys. It's 36 degrees and clear at this time. And let's take a look and see what we got for Salem, Massachusetts right now. 37 degrees according to Salem Common Station. Right now, Salem Common Station, 37 degrees. Your relative humidity, 61%. Your dew point's 24. And you're clear. Barometric pressure, 29.68 inches of mercury. And right now, you have a UV index of 1. Good air quality at 28. And tonight, a few passing clouds, low around 30 degrees, winds west at about 10 to 15 miles per hour tomorrow. No chance of precipitations, plenty of sunshine, some clouds intervals, high of 46 with southwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. So you're kind of matching what we have over here in Iowa with temperatures in the mid-40s. That's pretty good, 46 degrees for Salem, Massachusetts. And then tomorrow night, expecting 20% chance, mostly cloudy skies, 38 degrees, southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour, and it'll be warmer tomorrow in Salem, Massachusetts. Current temperature 37 degrees. Your winds are out of the northwest at about 5 miles per hour, gusting to 9. And you have a small craft advisory in your area right now. Small craft advisory. Those are what you got coming up. This is for west winds at about 25 to 28 knots with gusts at about 38. Massachusetts Bay and, I can't pronounce that, Ipswich Bay until 8 p.m. Thursday. Impacts and conditions will be hazardous in small crafts. So take precautionary measures there. Experiencing mariners will especially preparing for some smaller vessels that would avoid navigation in hazardous conditions. So small craft advisory in Salem, Massachusetts. 2 minutes past 5 o'clock Central Standard Time right now, after 6 o'clock Eastern Time, and it is after 3 o'clock in the Pacific. And I'm Gary J. Russen. This is GJRB. This is the GJRB Online Network. And you're listening to the year-end review of the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. We're in the midst of 50 minutes of non-stop back-to-back clips, bringing back some of the memories, catching up on some memories of this past year of the Gary Russen program, and that's what we're doing right here on GJRB Online. So let's get back into it, and we're going back into April 20th, Part 2, and at that time we were talking about the frustrations I was having with getting a hold of Ben, and let's go to that. April 20th, Part 2, on the Gary Russen program year-end review. GJRB Online on Spreaker across America, and Nothing Like a Good Rain by Deion Sanders. On GJRB Online, I didn't get an answer on there, although I'm looking on Ben's chat room there, and it's lit up, so I'm thinking that he's there. So I'm hoping maybe he reached it. Hey, Gary, I'm sorry, got called into work an hour ago, buddy. Figured that. Need to ask you a question about your job. And the reason I'm asking this is because we're going to have to this is going to have to be the last time I do a Saturday show for a while for you, because you have to work on Saturdays. So I'm going to just call that quits. If you get a day off, call me. We could do a show spontaneously, because it just doesn't seem to be working on Saturday lately. So, again, I will leave you a message, but it's not working on a Saturday. I'm going to just have to say that's it. You can't seem to make it to the show. It's best to just say that's it, because I can't plan a show and have this happen every time. I have a backup caller. I'm going to get a hold of him, but it's not working, Ben. I'm sorry, but we just can't seem to be connecting. So I'm going to have to say that's it. As far as that's concerned, we're just going to have to say I'm not doing no more shows on Saturday with this in mind, because it just doesn't work. In just about a few minutes, I'm going to get a hold of Blake Myers. No, but maybe he's around. I'm going to get a hold of him, and we're going to see if we can get him on. He is riding his bike in the Ragbri here in Clinton. He has a unicycle that he rides. He's going to be riding Ragbri, and I'm thinking about getting a hold of him like real soon, and maybe perhaps we could have him on the air today. So why don't we look? And yeah, I did, as a matter of fact, get a hold of him. Ben again didn't cancel out on me. He had to be called into work. So later on in that very same segment, part 2 on that very same day, I did get a hold of Ben Osman. I didn't get a hold of Ben Osman. He had to go to work. So I did get a hold of my backup guest, which was Blake Myers. And he was on the air with us talking about his ride in Ragbri in his unicycle. So going back now to that same show, April 20th, 2019, Blake Myers interview with talking about the Ragbri as we continue the year-end review. Emergency today. I'm sorry, I thought I messaged you before, but it didn't send. I saw that message before. And then I said, I kind of figured. Then, hey Gary, I'm sorry, but I just called an hour ago, buddy. And then I said, Ben, and I just sent this message out about a moment ago. Ben, I'm sorry, I just can't do no more Saturday shows around you if you are called into work. What kind of job do you have when you get called in? I'm sorry, we are going to have to forget it for now until we can have some kind of day off. I can't do this anymore. He repeated. He responded. I agree. I'm sorry. It's just been too unpredictable. I work operations for a RMU, whatever that is, in Neville Island. Sports complex. They just haven't found anybody for weekends, and I get stuck going in. I love my job, but this is getting real annoying. And I guess I can understand that. Sports complex in Neville. I've heard of Neville Island. I'm not exactly sure where it's located. I've heard of Neville Island. I used to hear them talk about that on KDKA. And then Blake, who just posted, should I call in? Whoops. Neville Island, though. I've heard of Neville Island. Where's that at? I hear them talk about that on KDKA. but not exactly sure exactly where Neville Island is. I've heard him talking on KDKA, though. But we have on the line instead Blake Myers. Hello, Blake, you're on the air.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, I was having an interesting day today. A friend of mine in Pittsburgh who has to work on Saturdays, he gets called in quite a bit, and it's been really interesting because in frustration, I plan a show around this and around him, and every so often something just happens that he calls out. And I understand he gets called into work a lot, but it's like it's been like happening so often, and it was getting kind of frustrating. You know what I'm saying? And it's frustrating to him. I can understand it, but it sometimes will look kind of now that it happens like so all the time at the same time. But thank you for taking time out. Wow, riding a unicycle in RAGBRAI, that's an interesting. Oh my gosh! Now, aren't you like? Is that's a one-wheel bicycle, right? You're afraid of like falling on your face?
Well, I'm not so much afraid of falling. I've been riding for I think it'll be about 12 or 13 years. I'm a little nervous about all the traffic of the bicyclists. That's something I'm not used to.
Yeah, because you gotta go their pace, don't you?
Right.
Oh my.
Yep, I'm kind of subject to whatever they're going to do, and luckily it's a pretty big unicycle. It's got a 36-inch wheel, and so I'll be sitting up much higher than any of the bikes, and so I should be pretty well visible.
So complained by him on the GJRB list. Wow. It's like when I saw that because I saw your video the other night, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting attempt. It's just too bad RAGBRAI's not coming through Clinton. Some years they do. Some years they do. To dip their bikes in the river, but they're not doing that this year, unfortunately. If you were to do that any other year, I would be down with a camera. I'd be doing a video for my YouTube channel, and it would be absolutely fabulous. I mean, I would love to just like come out there and meet you. It's just too bad it's not coming through Clinton. Darn me, but
I know. How much further south is it? Do you know where the ending point is?
You know, I had no idea. I thought maybe you had that information. And don't you get a packet when you sign up for that?
Well, I haven't decided this year if I'm going to sign up and be officially part of the actual RAGBRAI route that they want you to sign up for, or if I'll just kind of be an independent.
Okay.
I need to kind of look into that to see what way's preferred.
Now, being an independent, what does that mean?
Well, that would mean that I find my own lodging, and so I can line up with friends or family along the route instead of staying at the designated campgrounds. And I think you also get maybe like a shirt and a tag for your bike and stuff like that if you sign up with them.
Wow.
But I'm not sure if it's kind of an unnecessary expense. I haven't really looked into it yet.
Well, when does this take place? When does RAGBRAI happen, actually? Isn't it July?
Yeah, it'll be July 20th through the 27th. It's a Sunday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday. And the route, I know, begins, it's more south this year. It's going to go through, like, Winterset and Atlantic and Indianola. And then I can't remember, once it gets over to the east part of the state, what the towns are. But it's one of the shortest and least elevation routes that they've ever had. So that'll be a little bit easier,
because I know we got the pump. And I mean, I thought about it. I had a really good 10-speed at one time, and I thought about it one time doing that. That was before I got married. I thought about entering that, but it takes a lot of you have to be like really in shape for that. I mean...
Yeah, and that's one of the things with the unicycle that'll be much more difficult is I don't have any way to coast. So I will be pedaling every inch of the way. And I've also got such a large tire, which will help me distance-wise, but it's a lot more leverage to crank that thing up a hill.
Oh, yeah, I imagine. And if you're going up a hill, I imagine that'd be kind of scary, too, thinking you're going to kind of fall over.
Right, and so I don't know, with it being the least hilliest, I'm relieved, but I guess if I come to a real steep section, I might just walk it up.
Yeah, I would think.
Just do it.
I would do that.
I had a unicycle. Wow.
We have one guy, I think, here in town there in Clinton, but he's a clown. He has a clown act. And every once in a while, he'll be riding his unicycle. Now, he did that a couple of times here in Clinton. We have, it's the next town over, which is Comanche. And he would go to Comanche Days, which happens in August, and he'd be riding his unicycle all the way through Comanche Days to the Platte Park in Comanche, Iowa. And but I haven't seen him lately. He's somewhere in Clinton. I don't know, because I've seen him ride his unicycle quite a bit. So there's like one person in town's got one. That's all I know so far. I think he is as part of his clown act. It's not anything that he really, I don't know, takes this seriously. I'd have to see if I can get a hold of him or find out who he is and have him on the show one of these days. I think it's interesting to have a unicycle. And I've seen, this on TV shows like at one time on Lucille Ball. I think they had a unicycle episode once. And I thought, wow, then I think there was an episode of Full House, I remember straight, where they're doing a telethon, and I think one of them goes riding the unicycle through. I think it was their neighbor. What's her name? Anyway, unicycle, that's absolutely interesting, though. So that's the one you ordered, and I remember I remember seeing your video when you received it.
Yeah, so what it is a company up in Canada that I reached out to that carries a specific German unicycle that I've always wanted. And I kind of mentioned the idea to them, and they agreed to kind of partially endorse me to do the ride. So they sent me the unicycle and some t-shirts and stickers and equipment. And we've kind of been back and forth communicating, and that's kind of how it's working out so far. So.
Yeah. Yes, and I had to mention that, and I know I said that idea that I had here. What I was doing was, and maybe you've seen it pop up and you don't know why, but but see, what I'm doing is I start my Spreaker Studio up, and then what I do is I disconnect purposely the computer from the internet for like about a half hour. Sometimes I go a half hour, 20 minutes, and then when I plug it in, I get extra time, so I don't have to flip all the time. So it kind of purposely gives me more time if I'm offline for... Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. If you're unplugged from the internet, I can't think about how you'd still be streaming.
But I wouldn't be streaming. I have my studio Spreaker up. Okay, and when I disconnect it shows it's disconnected. It's going around and around. Okay, but when I connect, it just shows that I just started. So that whatever time is left on there, by the time it's done, it's giving me like about, even though, but it's still, Spreaker shows me 45 minutes. It doesn't say that I'm on for an hour and 20-some minutes.
Interesting.
So, but I'm really working so hard as to try to get the upgrade. But right now we've been in financial issues, so it's been, I kind of have to put a hold on it again, so.
Sure.
I'm doing it this way to maybe not have to flip so many times, but I get kind of frustrated sometimes. But today's been kind of one of those days. Like I said, I'm doing this Saturday extra show, but what's happening is that person that I planned around he's in Pittsburgh, and he works from some sports facility, and he is getting called in all the time. So it's like I'm done on Saturdays with him as far as that's concerned until he gets some kind of day off or something, or when he's available to be available on Saturday again. So I just put a hold on it, you know. So I'm going to do blues next week. I have a blues show. I just started it about last year. But and you notice I count my shows. What that is if I say 103, that's season 1, episode 3, like TV. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, sure.
So you know, I could build up so many episodes, but if I'm not on with that particular show for a while, I continue the season. But I'm thinking of maybe doing like 10 shows and then go off for a while and do season 2 and stuff like that, because I have too many shows. I already said I'm cutting down. I'm cutting down on some of my shows. I'm taking some off that I just don't do anymore.
Sure.
Because I have too many, and I don't have time to do them all. But anyhow,
same here.
Yeah. Because I noticed you haven't been on a while, and I know that usually you've been doing some shows. I like the sound of your system going into that, your shack there.
Right, yeah, I'm hoping to get back on more regularly here. It's just tough to find the time. Right now is my busiest season at work, so.
Yeah. Yeah, did you do a video? You said you did a video, you doing your show there.
I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to live stream a video as well as the Spreaker audio at the same time. So
yeah, because I'd like to see a lot of the stuff that you do and everything there. Because that is that is an awesome setup. I mean, that is one of the best radio setups I think I've seen in a long time. And it's better than mine. But that's great. I'm hoping maybe now, if you succeed in this, you're going to be doing more of those ride rides, and I'm hoping that maybe eventually you might come through Clinton. It'd be absolutely fabulous.
We'll see. Depending on how it goes, I don't know if I'll pick up any other sponsors or how that'll work out. That'd be kind of neat to have other people supporting it. As far as that goes, to make it worthwhile, because it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I imagine, but you might. We'll never know. We might see you on TV, because I know that's a big media event.
Yeah, we'll see. And I need to look into that too. I know that others have done it on a unicycle, but I don't know to what extent they've done it or any of the parameters or anything like that. So I'm going to try to find that information too. That way, if I'm the first that's done it, or the first on this size, or whatever, I can advertise that ahead of time.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good publicity. Absolutely. That's going to be interesting. So I really wish you a lot of luck on that.
Yeah, thanks.
And I said, when I saw that, I said, man, gotta have him on with this. This is fabulous. A unicycle thing really is neat. Yeah. So what do you got going on today?
Well, I've been doing yard work pretty much all day up to this point, and now I'm thinking about putting some shrimp in the fryer and relaxing.
Oh, fabulous. That was help you tune in. Man, I'll pull up some green onions, man. I'll play you some Booker T. G's. Of course, that was one of his favorites. I pulled out my oldies. That is, of course, we had him on. That was from April 20th of the Gary Russen program, April 20th, 2019, Part 2. And I had Blake Myers on with me. And we were talking about his ride in Ragbri on his unicycle. And that was, he had a pretty good ride there. As a matter of fact, I want to see if we can follow up eventually and have him on again this year on the Gary Russen program and find out if he's going to do it again in 2020. Let's see if we have that one coming up. Yeah, be kind of cool to have him back on his unicycle in 2020. Maybe they'll go through Clinton. Think about that. I don't know how they decide that ahead of time. I really don't know, but it'd be kind of fun to find out. That's for sure. Coming up, you'll see the year-end review of the Gary Russen program. The best of the Gary Russen program back on the air in 2020, either as a clip formatted show like I'm doing right now on a Saturday, or the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. If Ben can't make it on the program, we'll have a clip show, the best of show, or it'll be the best of the Gary Russen program, or a rerun of a older Gary Russen program. Either one. And I'll let you know ahead of time on that one, being that it'll be spontaneous. Coming up on the Gary Russen program, year-end review 2019. I still got some more good stuff here before we close out. And we're going to continue talking about Blake remains on the chat room during that particular show as we are in part 3. And I talk about my negative experience with Facebook and how they seem to be blocking my show, and I feel they are due to content. And then I'll let you know about Podbean. And then we got some segments from May 17th as well, too. I don't know how much room we'll have for those because we're headed to the end of this show. And we're going to continue with the year-end review wrap-up on Friday on the Gary Russen program. The best of the Gary Russen program, year-end review 2019, the wrap-up. Okay, so that'll be on Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock Central, right here on GJRB Online on Spreaker. And we'll be heard on our 9-foot closed circuit FM, Talk FM 108. So tune in for that. We'll have the wrap-up on Friday. Saturday afternoon, we'll be on live with the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. And hoping maybe we'll have Ben on. If not, we'll play some more clips. So, yeah, they'll do that. Alrighty, let's see. We are well overdue for a weather on the 5, so why don't we do that? And we're going to go over and do our Clinton weather forecast and give you a rundown of what's going on here in Clinton. So why don't we do that right now? Now nationwide weather update. This is GJRB's Weather on the 5. And we'll have another segment. We'll play another clip from our show. Coming up from another clip from our Best of the Gary Russen program from April 20th. And then we'll do our shout-outs and promotions and see if we have room for one more clip after that. If not, we'll wrap up this edition of our year-end review, and we'll pick up with the wrap-up on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on GJRB Online and the GJRB Online Network, and Talk FM 108, KGRZ LP FM, low-powered 9-foot closed-circuit signal right here on Clinton's North End. Tell you what we're going to do right now is do our weather on the 5s. 42 degrees currently right now at Mayor Farms, the Eagle Point Station. And here at our GJRB Spreaker Studios just above the Lions Shopping District here in Clinton, Iowa. 42 degrees. The winds are coming out of the southwest at 10 miles per hour, gusting to 13. Tomorrow's temperature is looking to be forecasted at nearly the same as today. Right now our relative humidity is at 69%. Dew point stands at 32. We're clear. And our barometric pressure is at 29.54 inches of mercury, and we have a visibility of 10 miles. Right now, our dry conditions have 0% on the chances, but it's going to dump up. We're going to pump up to about 10% tonight. Our UV index down to 2. We have a good moderate air quality at 51. And once again, we have a 10% chance of precipitation tonight. Some clouds, low about 33 degrees. Wind south-southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. 10% chance of precipitation tomorrow. We have a mix of clouds and sun early, then becoming cloudy later in the day. We'll expect a high near 45 with southwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 10% chance of precipitation, considerable climb. This low about 27 for tomorrow night. Winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Once again, we have winds coming out of the southwest, gusting at about 13 miles per hour. Southwest winds 10 miles per hour, gusting to 13. And our expanded forecast, let's take a look at our 10-day forecast. Let's go about a few days ahead here and see what it's going to be over the next couple of days, because I think it'd be kind of interesting to find that out, right? And then we'll continue with our year-end review. We'll have another clip, and I'm going to be talking about that one coming up, and then we'll do our shout-outs and promotions. Okay. Right now, though, let's take a look. For the rest of the week, let's do that. For Friday, 33 degrees will be the high, with a nighttime low of 24 with cloudy skies. Saturday expected to be 31 degrees under partly cloudy skies, and we expect the nighttime low dropping to 23. Partly cloudy again on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday next week, as well as Wednesday, with temperatures reaching 31 to about 43 degrees, our highest. 39 degrees on Monday, 33 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Nighttime lows ranging from 23 to 27 degrees. And then on Thursday next week, January 9th, we expect some rain-snow mix coming into the area with a high of only 44, nighttime low 25. And next Friday, January 10th, we're looking at partly cloudy skies and a high of 36. Once again, current temperature at our Spreaker Studios on Clinton's North End, just above the Lion Shopping District, 42 degrees, feels like 36. Weather on the fives on all daytime shows here on GJRB Online, 25 and 55 past the hour on all talk shows. 25 and 45 on the Gary J's Good Times Great Oldies Show, returning in 2020, and the back to the 80s, not rockin' 80s anymore, back to the 80s, and our Christian rock show, the Positive Rock Show, returning to our airwaves in January as well, with 25 and 45 minutes past the hour. Weather on the fives, right here on GJRB Online. Now let's get to another segment as we continue, and we're kind of wrapping up our. Actually, we should wrap it up our 50 minutes of nonstop of wall to wall, remembering wall to wall retro, going back to the 2019 Gary Russen programs, and we're playing some of the best clips of the past year. So I hope you're enjoying that program, and glad bringing it to you here on GJRB Online. And we've got some more coming up, so keep it here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker for the show. And, got some really good stuff here. So why don't we do this then? I'm going to go ahead and play that clip after we do that. Let's play that clip after we do our podcast shout outs and promotions. So we're going to do that first. So why don't we do that first, and then we'll go into our clip. Our podcast shout outs and promotions coming up right now. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to go to GJRB'S. Okay, where is that? There it is. GJRB'S. Here we go. And it's time now to do our Spreaker podcast and promotions. Brought to you by Spreaker, where you too can be a DJ on the internet and have some of this fun like I am. I don't know if you're going to work so hard to do a retro show, but hey, year-end review show is always fun, but it's a lot of hard work. Got a lot of good stuff coming up on this next edition. Stay with me. But right now, we're going to go ahead and talk about who is on Spreaker and some of the great podcasts you can listen to right here. Got a lot of good ones. And here's some of the podcasts that you can catch here on GJRB, along with GJRB Online here on Spreaker. And there's some good ones out there. I mean, there are so many podcasts out there. It's like Ed Delgado says, Zan, it's hard to choose. But there are so many good ones out there, you can't miss them. There's just some favorites you just got to listen to. And one of them, of course, is my good friend who's on every morning, 7 mornings a week, 365, and I think it probably was even on this morning. And that is Mike Myers, the Radio Hope Network. Happy New Year, Mike, if you're listening to this as a podcast after the fact or on demand. He's on every morning. He has a show called Radio Hope, and it's the Mike Myers Show. And there's 7 mornings a week. Talks about God, family, talks about experiences and relationships. It's just a great way to spend the morning, about an hour long. Have a cup of coffee and listen to some great internet radio. The Mike Myers Show, Radio Hope Network. And don't forget to tune into his 24/7 stream, Muck Radio, by getting onto the TuneIn app and put in Muck Radio, MUKRADIO, Muck Radio, and you can listen to the Mike Myers Show. Absolutely fabulous. And then on Monday nights, he was on Monday night, had a fabulous show, and that was Walter M. DeBall. He's got a great show on here. It's called Blues in the Night. And man, I'm telling you what, you want to hear some great blues? He plays Zydeco. He plays some really good blues. Yeah, I got a lot of Zydeco from him because that stuff's awesome. I'm telling you, I like that. I like all that. I like all that squeeze box stuff, you know. And he has Zydeco. He plays some good stuff there. You got to check him out. That is Walter M. DeBall. It's called Blues in the Night. He has another show, too, where he plays some stuff on Sunday nights. And that's a fabulous show. Tune into that. Blues in the Night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Spreaker every Monday night. Last night, I guess he was on. I was at a New Year's party at our church. Our year-end, by the way, I'll talk about that coming up. I was there last night, so I wasn't really by the computer listening to him, but I didn't know if she was on or not. And that was Ed Delgado, the Caramel Conservative. He's on every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. Talks about what's going on in the news and around the world. I bet y'all find out by going into his site and find out if he was on last night. I think he might have been. Let me check. I'm going to have a look. Pretty sure he had a show on last night. Yeah, I'm going to my Spreaker here. Where in the heck is that now? GJRB Online. I know it's here. You know, I think every once in a while I have to go and review all my internet stuff here. I got a rundown of shortcuts on my left-hand side of my computer screen, and I have one that'll take me instantly into my GJRB, but unfortunately it's not there, so I'm going to have to check that later. I'm pretty sure he's on there. He was on last night. I have to go into my main GJRB Spreaker public site where I'm on to find it, because I'm not sure why I can't find it. I'm going to go into my main site. That's why I go into my Google and I have shortcuts set up there. So if it's not on one of the other shortcut rundowns, I can go right into where I know where it's at. It's, find it that way. Let's see. I'm going to go where it is. Let's see here. I'm going to go down to where my followers are and see if I can find Ed Delgado. But I'm pretty sure he was on last night. Let's see what time he was on. He comes on at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, and has a good show. He always puts on a good show. I like to listen to him. And he has a lot of really good stuff on his program. He talks a lot about news, talks about what's going on, and we kind of connect together and talk about what's going on in the world of news. So listen to Ed Delgado every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific. And yeah, he was on last night. New Year's ever, 2019. I don't think it was a good show. He was on for about an hour and 19 minutes last night. So I'll have to listen to that later. He was on last night with his New Year's show, so I'll have to so Ed's listening I'll listen to your podcast later. Happy New Year. And he was on last night. Too bad I missed him, but we'll catch him. We'll listen to it. And I'll repeat that broadcast on my 9-foot closed circuit on Saturday. So it'll be on Spreaker FM 88.9 Saturday afternoon. So check that out. Ed Delgado, the Caramel Conservative. And he was on 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And along with that, you want to hear Bob Huber, the Huber Experience. He puts on a good show, too. Bob Huber does. And he does 15-minute intervals. But I'll tell you what, when he does this 15-minute podcast, he packs a lot in. Talks about wrestling, talks about movies, talks about gaming. He just gets into everything. You want to check him out. That's Bob Huber, the Huber Experience from out of Chicago. Going further south, you want to go down to Texas, LaPorte. This is a good friend of mine. His name is Black Dragons Radio, BJ McNamara. He puts on a good show, BJ does. And he does a show called Black Dragons Radio. Now, he's not on Spreaker that much anymore. He went over to a platform called Podbean. Now, I'll talk about Podbean. I'll be talking about that later on, how I joined them later on our second part of this show. But Podbean is a fabulous platform. He has some great podcasters on there as well. I'll be talking about them as I go along and listen to them. And he puts on some good music, plays a lot of good stuff, talks, and he does a great show. That is Black Dragons Radio. Check him out on Podbean. And that's www.podbean.com, I think, is the name of that site. And all you got to do to listen is to download the Podbean app. And you can listen. You got a player on there. And you can listen to the show right there on Podbean. That's Podbean, Podbean. And check out that. And then, of course, all those podcasters and more you can find by getting on the GJRB Spreaker public site, going into my main platform there on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com /user/5120525, or get into my Twitter account. That's www.twitter.com, and type in I am the Radio Maniac. Now, when you go into my main page here on Spreaker, just click that Twitter logo there where that birdie is, and you'll find, it'll take you right to my site there, right to my main page there, and you'll find all the list of all my shows. You can just listen to them right there, and just click them, and like the show too, please. Like the show. Just smash the like button. And it goes into the algorithms, and GJR becomes a suggested station to listen to. For great programming. That's www.spreaker.com. And when you go in there, you'll find all the followers that follow me, and I follow them. And you'll see all the stations that I mentioned, and some that I didn't, like MTFB Aviation Network from Indianapolis, Indiana, and a good friend of mine named Zach Friller. He plays some good music too. Zach's got a good show called 5 O'Clock Somewhere, and he plays some 70s and 80s music. It's absolutely fabulous. Listen to Zach and the Zach Attack on MTFB Aviation Network. Those are all the great podcasts you can listen to right here on Spreaker. And then tonight, don't forget to tune in to the Spaced Out Radio. That's a good show to tune into as well. Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott tonight. And let's see what else. Jimmy Church, who sometimes sits in for Coast to Coast, and George Norrie a lot of times. Jimmy Church has Fade to Black. That's off KGRA. That's out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Those are all on that. So just go in, you'll find all the stations I mentioned. Just click their page there, and it'll take you right to their page, and you can listen to their podcast. That's right here on Spreaker. SPREAKER, Spreaker, and broadcast to the world. Got some more good stuff. We're going to wrap up our show here. We got about 16 minutes left to go, so I think I'll only have room for maybe one more segment, maybe two, but I think maybe one more. And then I'm going to talk about our next show. So what we're going to do is play this as the last segment for this show. This is the last part. This is the last clip for today. It goes to April 20th, part 3. And again, I had I had Blake Myers in the chat room, and I was talking about the frustrations I was having with Facebook, and the fact that Facebook was blocking me, and I was not getting the listeners I usually get on that program, and also wanting to be expanded, and a whole lot of other stuff I was talking about here. So this is again my blaming it off Facebook for not having the listeners. This is from April 20th. Part 3, the last clip for today on the Gary Russen program, Year-End Review 2019 on GJRB. I had no idea, Blake. I have no idea. I have been having these issues with Facebook lately, and it seems to me that my shows are not being posted by Facebook when I'm on the air live, because I think that is why I'm not getting the listeners. I sincerely believe that I'm being blocked. He said, luckily I found your post, but I couldn't find the shows otherwise. I don't know. I can't explain it. I feel like I'm being blocked by Facebook for my content. And my content is not that bad. It just seems to me like that's what it is. And I really don't know what to do about it. I really don't. I just do my show and hope that I get my postings. But I really have a grievance with Facebook at this point, and believing on sending them some kind of a note saying, what's wrong with my show? Why are you blocking it? Why is it that some of my listeners are not getting my show? And I'm starting to get really fed up. Really don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just really aggravating me. I got some more interesting postings here on my Facebook that I'm going through right now on my tablet as I do my scroll through social media. Now, there's a posting there. I think one of the reasons, and there's another posting that I got today about some kind of a free service for business. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to check into it. Ever since I had this marketplace, whatever you call it, I don't know, wherever you have to pay to boost my show all over the place, and I think that has one of the reasons why I'm not getting listeners, because I've just been aggravated with Facebook. I've been aggravated with Zuckerberg. I've been aggravated entirely with the whole thing. But Blake, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter or not. I don't know if Twitter's doing the same thing or not, because if I look on my Twitter account right now, as I'm going to go flip over to that, I know my shows are always posted. As a matter of fact, I got shows a live podcast right now. If you follow me on Twitter, I am the Radio Maniac. You can actually listen to the show right on Twitter's site. It's right there. And I quite frankly, have been happier with Twitter than I have with Facebook when it comes to my radio shows being posted. Because with Twitter, at least my shows are getting posted. At least they're there. But now, since I've had this whole thing with this where you have to pay so much money to boost it, I've been trying to get rid of that because I think that's part of my problem. Trying to get rid of the my page on there, and I got a friend of mine who's a computer expert, at least somewhat of a computer expert. I'm going to ask him, and maybe perhaps he could find a way. Maybe I could just get rid of it, because I really don't want that page anymore if it's going to block my shows from going up, and because I don't think sincerely that I should have to pay money for people to listen to my show. And quite frankly, that's what Facebook's doing. It's making me fork over $3 for people to listen to my show, and it's just not right. I don't make a profit from this radio station, okay? I run commercials, I run spots, I run promos, but I offer free advertising, okay? So anybody who wants to advertise on my station, their business, they can advertise on my station. And I mean, like for example, Blake, if you wanted to advertise your garage, even though it's not in Clinton, the people listening maybe in your area were to listen to this station, or listen to GJRB, and I decide, you give me the details of your garage, I will write a commercial, produce it, and put it on the air. You wouldn't have to pay a red cent. I have no rate card. I make no profit from this radio station. So quite frankly, I'm just going to find a way to take down that stupid thing, because that's what's blocking my show from going up. I think I would get more listeners if people were to go over to Twitter, because my shows are getting posted there. I see it every time I'm on the air. Big red button right there. It says live podcast, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra 4/20/19 Part 3 on Spreaker. When you go into Twitter, you'll see my show posted there. And I've been more happier with Twitter than I have been with Facebook when it comes to my show being posted. So, it would be a good idea to turn your mic on, because then you can hear me. That's pretty much how that goes. Forgot to turn my mic on when I talked that up. But anyway, that was April 20th, so I'm going to reiterate here. That was for our April 20th show, April 20th, 2019, Part 3. And again, Blake was in the chat room, and I was telling my frustrations regarding Facebook blocking my show. So that's how that pretty much goes. With like about 8 minutes and 35 seconds left of the show, I'm going to, that'll be the last clip for today's edition. Now, I will be back on the air for another edition of the Gary Russen program, year-end review, the wrap-up, Friday afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock Central Time, right here on GJRB Online, and we'll close out our year-end review with April through the end of the year. So I've got a few more clips that I think are going to be kind of interesting. We're going to go to May. I've got 3 from May 17th that are pretty good. And they are will be on the next program. And then from our May 17th episode, let's see if we can get that one here, mark that on here. So let's just go down to the rundown. These are the ones that we did not get to yet. We finished off with April 20th, so we're headed into May 17th. And May 17, 2019. And on that show, we talk about Spreaker dropping its web-based console. And then President Trump says immigrants need to learn English as a requirement for being in America. And Ric Flair dies at age 70. So we got that'll be it. And then elderly woman pushes a woman pushes an elderly man off the bus. We got that coming up on our next edition from May 17th. And then from there on in, I've got some more clips that I think we're going to check out, because that's pretty much where I left off. And that would have left me with left me off originally at 5:16:01 if I had followed my clock, or I followed my calculations. But since I didn't follow my calculations, that was pretty well filled the show up with clips, and gave me extra time to run the clips through. And I ran 15 minutes and got caught up at the end of the show, which I thought was pretty good timing. Absolutely incredible. That was great. So on our next edition, we'll pick up on April 17th. we'll pick up on our next edition. We'll pick up on May 17th, and we'll play those. And then I've got some more clips coming up for June, July, and August. So we got some of the summer ones and late summer, and then on then we got the all the way up until October. So I'm finding some clips for October and November, leading into the expansion of this station and the end of Christmas and the end of the year, right where we're at right now. So I've got some really good clips, including a long phone conversation with Ed Delgado, the Caramel Conservative. We've got him on the next episode as we bring you the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review, the wrap-up. And we've got that coming up on Friday afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock Central, right here on GJRB Online. We'll have those, and I'll find some interesting clips in between there, so tune in for that. That's Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock Central, right here on Spreaker for the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review, the wrap-up, right here on GJRB Online at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's on Friday, 3 o'clock Central Standard, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern, right here on GJRB Online for the final part of our year-end review. And then on Saturday afternoon, we will be on the air again for the Gary Russen Program Saturday Extra. Hopefully, we should have Ben Osman on. I'm waiting for. He says he's willing to get on Saturday, because I did message him on. When was that? I believe I messaged him on yesterday, I think. Yesterday, the day before. I think it might have been Monday night. I know I messaged him on my phone, my smartphone, on my phone, and asked him if he was able to do anything on Saturday, and on my Facebook Messenger on my phone, and he said that he'd be able to. So more than likely, we will be ready for him on Saturday. So we'll have Ben on Saturday afternoon for another edition of the Gary Russen Program Saturday Extra. And of course, I have a rebroadcast. I got another one where I had Ben on that we're going to play. Like I said before, in our next edition. It's a pretty lengthy interview, but it's not the whole thing. It's just a clip, so because it's a really lengthy segment, and I don't have time to play the whole thing. So I'm only going to play just a little bit. I don't think I have the whole thing anyway. So I'll play that one for you, and then I will play you the one with Caramel Conservative. So that'll be on Friday. So tune in for that. That's going to wrap it up for the Gary Russen Program Year-End Review Part 1. Year-End Review 2019 Part 1. And we'll have the Year-End Review 2019, the wrap-up on Friday at 3 o'clock Central. Until then, have yourself your best night ever. So long, everyone. Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.MeWe.com. That's M-E-W-E. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help. End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. You never know when GJRB is going to be on the air. More programming, more often, on the internet, on GJRB.
This is the GJRB Online Network. This is the GJRB Online Network.